All right, one of the questions I get asked a lot is how to do hair painting with a root retouch. And so you can see here that I've already applied the root color for Leanne. There's two ways you can go about this. You could just let this process, rinse it out, and then go back and highlight it, but that's gonna take a lot of extra time on your part, which is then gonna have to translate to a more expensive appointment, which you can offer your client. But the other option you can give is you can do the root retouch first and then go in and paint. And what I'm gonna show you today is how to avoid accidentally not getting some gray coverage, because if you paint too much on the gray, where you can overlap the lightener with the color, but if you overlap too much on the gray, that color's not gonna be able to cover the gray. So what I'm gonna show you is how to do hair painting with a root retouch that's gonna save you time and your client money.
All right, so you can see here Leanne's starting point. She had grown out her roots for at least 8 weeks. Oh my gosh. So we had some really good roots to touch up. So I went in, I applied to my 4 quadrants, the root touch up. You'll see in the notes down below that I put her formula. I used redken to apply that to cover her gray. And then I went and mixed up my clay lightener, because if you've been around a while, you know I love clay lightener. And I don't use the manufacturer's instructions. Don't tell them. And I have my comb trick. And if you want to learn more about hair painting, go have a look at my hair painting outside the lines. The link is down below.
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm taking the clay lightener and I'm getting it on the flat side of the brush. Now I want to make sure I get some brightness around her face. So you can see here where I've applied the root color. This is where her gray is. So although I can bring the lightener up into the color a little bit, because this is covering gray, I can't overlap it. I only learned this by mistake, is that if I overlap it, that gray coverage color isn't going to process completely. So I'm gonna go just right here and apply it with the flat side of the brush and then fan it in. And so if you're wanting to get right to the root, you won't be able to do it with this technique. You would have to let these roots process, rinse them out, and then go in, which is a great option, but this is more of a time-saving, money-saving option where it's still gonna look, you'll see with the finished product, it's still gonna look nice and bright and close to the root. And then because her ends are already lightened, I just fan it out here. So you can see I'm taking triangle inspired sections is what I call them. And what I'm gonna be able to do here is paint on this side, so when she pulls her hair in a pony, that's gonna show that brightness, as well as I'm gonna paint on this side, so when her hair moves, it shows that brightness, but then there's all this internal stuff that will create depth that's not being touched. So I hold it at a 90-degree angle from the head. I start applying. I don't go into that gray, but I still blend in. Then you can see I just flip that triangle and I go and apply on that side. And you can really end up with some beautiful 3-dimensional looking highlights that you can't achieve when doing foil patterns.
All right, so you can see here, as I'm going through the hair, I'm making sure I have good tension on the hair, and I use the flat side of my brush. I want you guys to remember that when you are doing balayage this way. I always keep the hair elevated at a 90-degree. You can tell I don't care about how tidy the sections are, though. That doesn't matter at this point.
This is what I call my angled parking placement. And you can see here where the part is here. I'm kind of going in at an angle so that when the hair falls, it's going to create this really beautiful effect. It's going to look like it's her natural color.
So always making sure that you put that product on the flat side of the brush like I showed you in the beginning. And you can see there I put the tail end underneath the hair because I want to make sure as I lay it down, I want to make sure that they're not stacking, the color's not transferring. The clay lightener will develop a hard shell around it, and it's okay to blend it into the color there a little bit, but remember, do not blend it into where the gray is. Then the root color will not process properly, and I learned that the hard way, let me tell you. But you can see here I'm getting close to the part, stacking it. It kind of makes her look like a Who from Whoville. But oh my gosh, I can't wait for you to see the end. It's going to be so awesome. So here's a quick look at how it looks when it's all been applied all over. I do the full head, and then here you go.
You're so good. Hi.
Oh,
Walter,
yes.
get down. Hey, off.
All right, here comes the fun part. We let it sit, and of course, me and Leanne gabbed and caught up. But there you can see what it looks like all the way around. It kind of looks fun to look at, you know, when they're sitting there just hanging out. And then here you go, on to the blow dry. It took some time to really blow out her hair nicely, put some body in it, some movement in it. I do rough dry to about 80%, and then I go through and I always blow dry the front piece so that my client can see what the color looks like, get a feel for it. You can see I get some nice movement and volume there in the front. And then we're gonna go on to blow drying the sides. Look at a sneak peek. If you wanna see more of my blow drying process or how I style hair, leave a comment below. And I don't know if you guys have already used this little trick. I saw it circulating around on Instagram, and I wish I could give credit. If you know who to give credit to, leave a comment. But I found I kept accidentally ripping people's masks off. So I did this little trick. It gets it out of the way. My brush doesn't, or my comb doesn't get stuck on it. And you can see I like to take vertical sections there when I'm blow drying the sides. That way I can get a little bit of extra volume on the side. I get some nice movement. I go back from the front, like I said, so I can always blow dry the front first. That's where it matters most. If that part dries on its own a little bit janky, it's gonna look a little bit weird. So I know this may not be the way they teach it in school, but you know, as you saw the way I mix up my clay lightener, I'm all about knowing the rules so you can break them. I love this blow drying technique. Then I go through with my 1.5 inch iron, and I give her some nice waves, just alternating which direction it goes to, back and forth from the back to the front. You'll see, we'll shake it out here soon. Oh my gosh, you're gonna see the final look right away. Do not go anywhere because here comes, boom. Oh, it looks so good. She rocks it so well. We've got those grays covered up, so nice. She's got some nice bright blonde. It looks like it transitions so seamlessly. There was no shadow root. We saved so much time, so much money in product because we actually use less. No shadow rooting necessary. One toner, boom. Isn't she gorgeous? All right, well, if you like this video and you want to see more like it, or if you've got questions about anything else, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment. I want to connect with you more. We'll see you next time, friend.